Hello everybody, welcome back to Tiny Bunny. My name is Mavis, welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are just now catching up on the episodes and finding out that episode 3 actually released today, I was surprised they released it so early when they completed. I thought it was going to be releasing on the 31st, but apparently not. But yeah, I played ahead and I thought I would actually hit record and I got so far and I really wanted to win. I was really into the game and I'm super bummed. However, I managed to save the part where I actually won the first time. Right? So anyway, I made a few choices here and there. And I will be sticking with those choices as I played through, because I split into 2 different directions. It's probably the same as the one. It's pretty early on in the episode. But that's all the spoilers I'm going to give you guys. And let's just go ahead and get started. I appreciate all the likes and subscribes and all the comments of the support and stuff like that. Thank you. I'm just a small channel, but I do love what I do. I do theater. I do acting. I do love voicing. If you guys want to check out more of my voiceovers and stuff like that, go check out Pathos Productions. He could use some of your support, because we are a team of voice actors and we do this stuff for fun. We do not get paid, but if his channel does get big enough, he can start paying us. That's the reality of it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Episode 3. On end, the wolf's gray fur will stand. The warm farewells Ramka and Biasha shouted at the back of the fleeing Simeon echoed inside my head.
Горло тебе перережу, слышишь? Свинья!
Was Ramka serious about his threats? Would he chase his former friend deep into the forest and then what? Kill him? Just like that? No, that can't be right. I hurriedly rubbed my glasses. The glasses! Simeon was clutching them in his fists while trying to escape the barrage of kicks and slaps from his friends. Former friends by now. And then in just a couple of hours, this lost item was lying on the ledge of my window. It was hard to imagine that Sioma suddenly got a guilty consciousness. Well, I reread that. Wow. It was hard to imagine that Sioma suddenly got a guilty conscience and returned my glasses in such a strange way. I was shocked, but kept walking toward the classroom, accompanied by nasty whispers all around me. That photo stood still before my eyes. Simeon has gone missing. Simeon is gone. His fat fingers will never get to my throat. His signet ring won't smash into my chin. He'll never humiliate me again. Wasn't that what I wished for? On the other hand, did I really wish Simeon to become a murky stain on the notice board? He was still someone's son, or a grandson, and he went through the same struggles as me. Did I really wish for my unseen companion to dispatch him in such a brutal fashion? I didn't know the answer. Or I was just scared of it. Nonetheless, school still has something nice about it. Paulina, the girl with a violin, was like a mountain spring, like well water that you gulp down, pressing your lips against the zinc outer ring of a bucket, and can't ever get enough. What if I make her one of the characters in a story I'll draw? The protagonist will save her from terrifying monsters. As soon as I thought of monsters, a bunch of my classmates slid down the rails, smirking like the xenomorphs from the Alien. I immediately felt a larva of fear writhe in my stomach. I didn't want to cross paths with Ramka and Biasha after what happened yesterday, especially since Simeon suddenly went missing. I entered the classroom and went toward the last row. All the chatter suddenly died down, so I walked there in complete silence. It felt like my classmates pushed and poked me with their stares. They carefully observed my every move. I stared at the desk with a huge pile of library textbooks on top, my fists clenched. It felt like I was the one who disappeared in that snowy forest, and my desk was finally used for something worthwhile. Simeon's empty chair stood in front of me. The chair that once belonged to Vova was gathering dust somewhere in another classroom. After a moment of hesitation, I sat down at Babadoon's desk, the place where I was supposed to be assigned by Lilia Pavlovna at first. The chapter resumed, as if someone just unpaused the movie.
Бабушка Бабурина такой кипиш устроила, когда он домой не явился. Сначала в школу прибежала, потом ментов вызвала. Да-да-да.
Katya snuck a cunning glance at me, then leaned into her neighbor and whispered something. Girls from the second row also leaned in. She shared something with them too. Whispers. Nods. I kept catching her stare at me. Her neighbor stared too. The whole class was watching me. It was like they felt the need to watch me because they were searching for traces of blood on my fingers. I wanted to defend myself and shout, "Guys, listen, I'm innocent!" Ramka gave me a heavy, worried look. He was probably as stunned by Simeon's disappearance as everybody else. But then he directed his stare straight at my face. It felt like he was about to point his finger at me and shout at the top of his lungs, "Everyone look! Babadoon snatched his glasses yesterday, and now he has them back! Murderer!" But he remained silent as if there was nothing special at all about my glasses. I may be going mad, but I think Ramka knows something. He knows something, but he won't tell me what. But it was also possible he didn't care at all, just like everyone else. Then Ramka shifted his eyebrows in suspicion and stared at Katya, as if informing her that he didn't believe a word she said. I wanted to believe that Ramka would take my side. And Biasha, who sat sprawled in his chair with his chin pressed against the table too. But they were silent. A terrifying thought flashed in my mind. Those two could easily betray me, push me off the cliff, just like they did with Simeon. As if looking for protection, I clutched the ruler until my hand hurt.
Не надо быть Коломбо, чтобы догадаться. Кто на Бабурина зуб имел? Кто его вчера ударил? Поиздевался, а после...
The metal ruler fell out of my weak fingers. It hit the floor with a jingle that made the other kids shudder. Katya bit her tongue and squirmed nervously. Chairs scraped against the floor. My classmates moved away from me, closer to the exit, toward the teacher's desk. I was not the only one to catch wind of that change. Ramka and Biasha looked around and winced in contempt. It's good that they were clearly on my side.
Да прикуси ты! Бабурин, небось, с бабкой посрался и дымился. Скоро найдется.
Найдется, ага. Во враге, со вспоротым брюхом.
I gulped. I imagined Sayoma on a snowy blanket, his face, white like a fish belly, split down the middle by the crevice of his mouth. Snowflakes falling on his glassy eyes and filling up his throat. See? I could almost hear his condescending tone. "It's all your fault." Of course, Simeon did me a favor by disappearing. Thanks to him, my classmates now stared at me in awe. That was only one side of the coin. What if I have to repay that favor soon? The door creaked. Paulina entered the classroom. I straightened up in a hurry so she wouldn't see me looking like a scared critter. Paulina found me with her eyes, gave me a short nod, and went to her seat. Katya rushed her neighbors again like a lab rat that saw a treat, and started whispering, switching her gaze between me and Paulina. Messages on pieces of paper started jumping around the classroom. The ringer's trill announced the start of the class.
Так, заканчиваем бардак. Дети, встаньте. Петров, тебя это тоже касается.
Lilia Pavlovna went to her desk, followed by a policeman in a uniform. It was a man that visited us just recently, tall, and a stare so sharp you could get cut on it.
Здрасте.
Здравствуйте!
Садитесь. Познакомьтесь, это старший лейтенант Константин Владимирович Тихонов.
Tikhonov.
Он задаст вам несколько вопросов и проведет небольшую лекцию по безопасности.
Лучше лекция от милиционера, чем...
He's staring at me! The class livened up. Talking to a policeman was way better than studying. I, on the other hand, was ready to sit through hundreds of hours of Russian literature just to escape the lieutenant's oppressive stare. His brown eyes felt around the classroom, looking for me. Hair stood on the back of my neck, and an icicle had lodged in my gut.
А правда, что Бабурина маньяк убил?
Екатерина, ну-ка цыц. Вопросы здесь взрослые задают.
Просто нам всем страшно. Может, убийца бродит где-то рядом? Или сидит у нас за спиной?
Her sly stare was directed at me. I saw that middle finger too, little shit. Tikhonov stepped in between the rows of desks and started walking at an excruciatingly slow pace, brushing his fingers against the chairs he passed by. Some of the students almost broke their necks following his movements. That's how a crowd of commoners would gleefully anticipate a public execution in the Middle Ages. And he just walked, getting closer and closer to me. I gritted my teeth to stop myself from screaming. Calm down. Breathe. You didn't kill or kidnap anyone. He already knew the answer to his question. But the policeman still asked in a stern voice.
Петров Антон?
Да.
Встань, Петров.
My muscles turned to stone. I got up and glued myself from the chair. I felt like I could hear all my joints creak in the process. I only wished that Polina wouldn't turn around and see the grimace of horror on my face. If only I could be somewhere far away, in the forest, digging myself into a snow pile, rolling up into a ball there. The officer stared at me as if he was about to lock a pair of handcuffs on my wrists. I wonder how cold these bracelets are to the touch. I imagined myself getting jailed and put into a juvenile detention center where tens of simians would constantly harass me.
Я ничего не знаю. Я тут ни при чем.
А тебя никто и не обвиняет. Пока что.
Only then I noticed a file that said case number 131 in his hand. It had a gray cover, made from rough carton. It flopped onto the desk like a guillotine blade that slid down on someone's neck. With a measured motion, Tikhonov opened the file, still studying me with his gaze. I caught a glimpse of documents and photos. They showed prints on the snow that looked like animal prints.
Ты с Семеном Бабуриным общался?
Я знал его всего один день.
Все знают, Петров его ненавидел.
I turned red. You ugly bitch! I wanted to sink my teeth into Katya's face and chew out her cheek. Ooh, alright, Kai. Instead, I replied with the calmest voice I could muster.
Мы повздорили вчера. Но он первый начал. Я его ударил.
Сильно?
Да нет, так.
I waved my hand indecisively. Tikhon looked at my fist as if he was surprised that I managed to hit the big kid from the photo. Surprisingly, Lilia Pavlovna came to my rescue.
Бабурин проблемный подросток, с шилом кое-где. Сам ко всем лез.
The officer replied with a meaningful nod and fished out a notebook out of the file.
Это твое?
I averted my gaze. It was a math notebook with my name on it. My classmates devoured me greedily with their eyes. It felt like even the writers on the portrait squinted at me in suspicion.
Мое.
В лесу нашли. Там же тракторист, что снег убирал в последний раз, видел Бабурина.
I started blinking in bewilderment. Ramka ransacked my school bag. This notebook probably just got lost somewhere in the bushes. The lieutenant knew about the school brawl, but was he aware of the fight in the forest clearing? I had witnesses that could testify to Simeon and I walking in different directions after that. I looked toward the boys, hopeful. Ramka, who sat behind Tikhonov, put a finger to his lips. And when the officer quickly turned around, he pretended to pick in his nose. I deciphered his signal. Boys like Ramka would probably say something like snitches get stitches in a situation like this. I frantically fixed my glasses. Wait, Simeon took them away yesterday, but now they're...
Так что ты делал вчера в лесу, Антон?
Я в школу через лес хожу. Могла выпасть легко.
Easily, just like me, producing this half-truth.
Будь осторожнее.
Be careful out there, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he knows something. Before I could realize whether it was a genuine piece of advice or a veiled threat, the teacher said,
Класс. А сейчас лейтенант расскажет о правилах, которые вам необходимо соблюдать.
Так маньяк все-таки есть.
Пока мы ничего вам сказать не можем.
Ramka swayed in his chair and gave me a thumbs up. Attaboy, good job keeping your trap shut. I nodded, even though I didn't feel a shred of pride from his praise. After all, he was the one who threw my notebooks and textbooks into the snow. He was the one ordering Simeon despite changing his allegiance later.
Но есть преступник или нет, вы должны четко помнить о собственной безопасности. Вас бережет милиция, вас опекают родители и учителя. Но в первую очередь защищать себя должны вы сами. Итак, кто там что хотел узнать?
A stockade of arms rose from the desks. The kids shouted over each other, swarming the policemen with questions. In an attempt to calm down that chorus, he moved toward the blackboard. The gray file was left lying in front of me. I stared at it. My breathing was so ragged that it might have looked like someone who just ran a 100-meter sprint. Beads of sweat rolled down my back.
Ясно.
I looked around the classroom. He's still staring at me. My classmates were catching the officer's every word. Only Ramka was saying something to Biasha.
Так.
Lilia Pavlovna was staring into the window, fighting back yawns.
Объявлять комендантский час причин пока нет. Слишком мало времени прошло с момента исчезновения вашего одноклассника. Мы все уверены, что он найдется живым и здоровым.
Nobody paid me any mind, so I slowly opened the file. My fingers started sifting through the documents. Ksenia Telalivia, 6 years old, left her home sometime in December. Identifying features. Okay. My heart almost jumped out from the ribcage. A round-faced girl no older than Oya smiled at me from the photo. The first victim of a serial killer. The first child to disappear in the forest without a trace. I turned another page. Vladimir Matyukin, 10 years old. Vova was the second. His mitten, hanging from the branch, his name called out by desperate adults and repeated by the sneering echo. Lilia Pavlovna coughed, trying to calm down the rowdy students. I yanked my hand away and the file closed.
Теперь поговорим о диких животных. Как известно, в наших лесах водятся волки, медведи, лисы. Людей они боятся и близко не подходят. Но бывают животные бешеные. Не бегите и не делайте резких движений. Если лиса...
Oh shit! As soon as I touched the folder, Tikhonov lashed at me with his eyes. My hand instinctively moved away as if that stare actually hurt. The officer just kept staring at me without saying a word, making me squirm under the weight of this uncomfortable silence and the sneering looks of my classmates.
Придется...
The officer finished his lecture and started searching around with his eyes. Finally, he noticed the folder he left on my desk, put it silently under his arm, and went toward the blackboard without looking back.
И еще раз. Если вы заметите в поселке кого-то подозрительного, неважно, возле школы или на лесной тропинке, сразу сообщайте в милицию. Телефон-то знаете?
I got caught last night when doing my playthrough of this when I realized I wasn't recording, and he came up and he told me I was a very curious boy, and I got an achievement that said caught napping. Thanks for that.
Спасибо, ребята. Спасибо, Лилия Павловна. И это... Одноклассника вашего мы найдем.
Yeah, right. A thought flashed through my mind. Dig through enough ditches and maybe you'll be able to piece them together like Legos. My thoughts turned evil for some reason I couldn't control them. I tried to switch to the lieutenant's speech about suspicious individuals. What if I saw the killer before? What if I was a hair's breadth away from them? Suspicious people. Huh. How suspicious was the fox girl that wandered in the darkness? A weirdo that always appears out of nowhere and then dissolves into thin air with her riddles and rhymes. Could she really harm the hulking simian? Should I tell the officer about her? What if lives of other kids depend on this? Of the cute Ksenia and Volva too? Wait, what if I get mocked for speaking out? What if they'll start whispering behind my back, or what's even worse, think that I'm insane? Romka gave me a stern look over the shoulder. I doubt someone like him would approve of cooperating with the police. Katya's braid dangled nervously behind the delinquent sitting in front of me. My hand was glued to the desk.
До свидания, лейтенант.
Tikhonov was saying goodbye to Lilia Pavlovna. He was about to leave. It'll be too late soon. Okay, so the choice I made was to stay silent. Next time, we'll go with what happens if I raise my hand for the police officer. No way. I've had enough of the humiliation. I'll keep my head down, like a bunny. I locked my fingers and zipped my mouth. The bell rang. Lilia Pavlovna passed by without looking my way. Polina left after her. My classmates went silent at the same time, as if someone muted the sound on the TV. They followed me with their eyes the whole time I was passing between the rows. Judgmental looks. I felt like I was in the scopes of mini sniper rifles. I squeezed through the barricade made of desks, looking for Polina. But instead I stumbled into my new buddies. Romka and Biasha were waiting for me at the notice board.
Я в тебе не ошибся, Тошек. Пацан, не спалил, как мы чуть было свинью не забили.
Это повело бы милицию по ложному следу. Наверное. А вы точно не имеете отношения к исчезновению Семена?
Мы-то нет, а вот ты. Помнишь, как срулил от нас в потемках?
Ага, я так и говорю, очкарик в дверь! Тебя жирного нагонит и кокнет на!
Базаришь. Однако мы тебе верим, а ты нам?
Romka's stern look made me uncomfortable, so I nodded.
Вот ты славно.
Romka lowered his voice and looked around the corridor in suspicion. The other kids were stealing glances at us, whispering.
Что ж, Сёма пропал, это правда. Как и факт, что не просто пропал, а скорее всего уже сдох.
Biasha shuddered.
А ты почем знаешь?
Так Мы за это уже терли. Здесь такие случаи не впервой. Думаешь, Сенечка, Вова это
What's
всё
wrong with
на
this
попал?
dude? I'm still laughing, dude. How he's acting is so hilarious.
Посидят в лесу с карамелькой за щекой и назад пришлепают. Ясно же, кто их к себе прибрал.
Неужели черный?
Маничела! Бля, буду пацаны, это все местная Чикатило.
That is scary and terrifying.
Вычислить бы еще, кто он такой.
Ну, если этот убийца Бабурина завалил, он и по нашу душу явится, отвечаю.
Что же делать?
Вместе держаться, вот что. Втроем мы, как Вольтрон.
Это... В Вольтроне их 5 было, на.
Ну, считай, мы покалеченный Вольтрон.
I appreciate your enthusiasm for being an injured Voltron. He looked at me with an adult gaze and nodded. His eyes were full of worry and sadness.
Ладно, раз Сёмы больше нет, айда с нами. Дело одно есть. Постоишь для вида, покараулишь. Тебя, кажется, уже боятся все.
Scared shitless of me? While I still couldn't wrap all that around my head, their attitudes softened me up and I agreed on the spot. I followed Ramka and Biasha through the twilight corridors of our school, savoring my newfound brazenness. We walked pompously, like heroes of some criminal drama, as if the three of us had access to some knowledge, hidden from everybody else. I'm not sure I would have gone with them if they told me what the goal of our campaign was. We hid in the darkness near the school gym, and my companions started rubbing their knuckles, watching boys leave the dressing room. Finally, Biasha pointed at someone inside the crowd.
Вон этот лох!
Ramka smiled dangerously and proclaimed in a low voice,
Стой на стреме, и если кто из училок объявится, дай знать.
Гляди в 4 глаза, на.
Давай, давай! Ты нам
I stood at the corner, filled with conflicting feelings and thoughts. This is where I believe I fucked up on, and I should have just said, hey, I believe in this, because it would have kept the interesting story with Alyssa, but, maybe I made a right choice. I'm not sure, because I like it when it gets creepy.
Ты чё, не понял?
In a cul-de-sac behind me, Ramka was waving it back and forth with some 5th grader. Did I skip something? Okay, yeah. I stood at the corner filled with conflicting feelings and thoughts.
Может, тебя на счетчик поставить?
The boy
а?
was
Ну, шлёпку
protesting on the
нет.
verge of tears, but Ramka stood his ground, spewing countless obscenities at him, with Biasha occasionally adding a couple of words of his own. Would Dad praise me for involving myself with this?
Всё, вали давай.
My new friends came out of the cul-de-sac. A light bulb illuminated the camera in Ramka's hands.
Ого, полароид. Он твой?
Oops, my bad, sorry guys. Ramka shook the black electronics marvel with a retractable flash, disinterested.
Теперь мой. Мне тут один должник велик торчал за свой гнилой базар. Но, говорит, нет у него велосипеда. Вот и расплатился фотиком. А мне он, честно говоря, в хер не впился.
I felt bad for that boy, but all the negative thoughts disappeared when I looked at the treasured camera. I could clearly imagine how happy Oya would be with this Polaroid. I imagined myself taking pictures of my sister, Dad, and Mom. The faces of my family would gradually appear on the hard paper as if emerging from the dissolving mist. I'd take pictures of Paulina too. That way, I'd be able to get her photo for myself. I'd keep it at my desk, under lock and key.
Раз он тебе не нужен, можешь мне его отдать?
Roma measured me with a sharp glare, turning into the Ramka I met yesterday. the callous leader of a carnivorous pack.
Ты извини, братан, но я вещами просто так не разбрасываюсь. Могу в ломбард загнать, ну или разыграть во что-нибудь.
For some reason, as soon as he mentioned a game, I remembered Alyssa. I looked at the Polaroid.
Ну давай я с тобой на него сыграю. Только во что?
Vyasha snickered into his fist.
Чаром! Снимем с нашего Антоски последние штаны.
Я тебя что, пидор с пацанов штаны снимать?
Ramka stared at me from above.
На что играть собрался? У тебя хоть бабки есть?
Во-во! Свети карманы, Тосик.
I slowly turned the pockets of my pants inside out, in vain hopes of salvaging at least some change from my lunch money. Something rustled in my pocket. I fished out the Mercedes-Benz insert I got thanks to Alyssa. I guess I shoved it there without thinking when I flew it out of my school bag with all the notebooks.
А на вкладыши играете?
Oh, yeah! Yes! It came in clutch! Yes, I'm glad I took the candy. Vyasha's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as soon as I brought the car's picture closer, but Ramka didn't move a muscle.
Хочешь, чтобы я целый фотик за какой-то там фантик отдал?
Это за...
Да жвачки это и рубль цена, а в полароиде кассета еще целая.
Да это да...
Ой, у меня таких вкладышей жопой жуй, на кой мне еще?
Мерседес-Бенц, на! Его-то нам и не хватало, Робert!
Look at this dude's face.
Фу, блин.
Ramka spit on the ground and slapped Vyasha over the back of the head.
Ну ты и трепло, братка. Теперь он за него цену до небес взвинтит.
Just like I suspected. This automobile was a valuable addition for every turbo gum collector.
Ага, значит, появился интерес? Так во что будем играть?
Подкидного!
В ножички?
In the blink of an eye, a greasy deck of mostly like marked cards appeared in Vyasha's hands. And Ramka masterfully swung his butterfly knife-like in front of my nose. I had no desire to play by their rules.
А давайте в камень-ножницы.
О, а ты у нас любишь рисковать. Ха. Ну что, мой полароид против твоего Мерса?
По рукам.
If I remember, I did save when I won, but let's go ahead and play. Ooh! It changed! Oh my god. I raised my fist toward the ceiling in triumph.
Стопэ, стопэ. У нас принято до 3 побед играть.
А раньше сказать.
Ты думал, все так просто будет, да?
Не пойму, чё ты хмуришься так? Один раз уже выиграл, преимущество на твоей стороне. Давай-ка продолжим. 1, 2, 3!
What'd I pick last time? Fuck. Shit. I gave it to him without knowing. Oh, shit! Oh, it's tied. Again? No. No, we're not doing this! We're not doing this! I want that camera. Gimme. Oh, it made me start over!
Есть!
Стопэ, стоп.
А раньше...
Ты думал,
Не пойму. Давай.
Damn it made me start over, guys. Got him. Got him! Got him! Yes! I looked at my opponent with suspicion.
Ну, я выиграл. Или теперь мне нужно еще и Бяшу обыграть?
Damn, it made me start over. I won one round. Fuck. Romka mumbled something under his breath. He'd probably refuse to play by the rules, and I'd be left with nothing.
Эй, Ромыч, все по чесноку на.
Romka reluctantly gave it up.
Везучий ты, сука. Держи. Только писюн свой не фоткай.
I weighed the Polaroid in my palms and realized that I was smirking, like a true winner. Hey, we got it. Let me save. Let's not do that again. I'm so glad I'm recording this time. It's been 7 days since the lieutenant visited our class. At first glance, everything was still the same. Oh, we're back at home. The forest still held out its gnarly claws toward the village, and the wind whipped up white flags, weaved from powdery snow every night. When parents argued in another room, I would turn up the TV's volume to silence their muffled voices and sit close to Oya. Vova's and Simeon's photos are still 2 black spots on the notice board, and round-faced Sinya hasn't returned home too. But something did change. I could see how different the looks of my classmates were. They made my pockets bulge with gifted apples. The animosity was gone. School wasn't scary anymore. But most importantly, a shadow slid across my desk, leaving behind a mysterious note. I glanced into the space between rows, but the messenger was already nowhere to be found. Who sent me this note? What could this carefully ripped out and neatly folded piece of paper be hiding from me? More threats and humiliation, or... I took the piece of paper and carefully inhaled the wafting aroma. Oh shit. Blackberry. Inside was a message in beautiful handwriting. I'm waiting at a dead end near the class dressing room. Come alone. Drunk on that sudden call, I immediately started walking, looking over my shoulder from time to time, making sure nobody is following me. I didn't even notice how I almost broke into a run and jumped around the corner. As soon as I did that, I rammed into somebody inside the dark nook.
Ой!
Like a magic bird, a green notebook glided to my feet. Polina puffed her cheeks in exaggerated anger.
Петров! Да ты совсем зрение потерял.
What is this? I fixed my glasses. My nearsightedness wasn't that embarrassing anymore. Lock. I bit down and picked up the notebook.
Прости, я так торопился. Ты меня ждала? Что случилось?
Polina studied me with her eyes and clicked her tongue.
А знаешь, на что ты похож, Антоша? На блюзовую импровизацию.
I blinked in bewilderment.
Это как?
Для меня все люди с чем-то ассоциируются.
И для меня, но не с музыкой же.
Вот как раз с музыкой. Бывают люди гитарные соло, или барабанный бой, или военный марш, как наша Лилия Павловна. А ты такой задумчивый, таинственный, иногда немного печальный. Ты точно блюз.
А почему импровизация?
А это когда слушатель не догадывается, куда свернет мелодия, какой темп возьмет.
That's a beautiful way to describe someone. Of course, some of the things Polina said went completely over my head. But I couldn't stop looking at her smile, light like a breeze in May, her eyes deep in blue.
Чтобы распознать в тебе музыку, нужен опыт и вкус. Это не какая-то там эстрада.
Я, наверное, вообще не знаю, что такое этот блюз.
Polina gasped and frowned, which made her even look more beautiful.
Не произноси при мне такие слова. Я тебе обязательно дам кассету. Раньше мне дедушка из города столько музыки привозил. И джаз, и свинг, и классику. Это он подметил, что у меня склад ума, как у музыканта. Я еще совсем маленькой пыталась на бумаге записать звуки природы. Пение дождя, леса.
Эх, мне бы твои уши.
А мне бы твои глаза.
I tensed up, worried that she was making fun of me. But Polina shook her head.
Да-да, я серьезно. У тебя глаза художника. Смотришь на вещи и фиксируешь их. Я так не умею.
Katya walked past us with her trademark frosty glare. We dove into the shadows, trying to escape it.
Теперь понимаешь, почему мы тут прячемся? Вот из-за таких, как она.
She recognizes people like that.
А Катька какая мелодия.
Oh.
Скрип несмазанных дверных петель. Знаешь, такой мерзкий дискант.
I giggled, covering my mouth. Katya didn't hear our whispers, but she suddenly glanced over her shoulder, clearly annoyed. A moment later, she sighed and went her way. I remembered about the notebook I was still clutching in my hand and turned it in my hands. What is that? Instead of a subject name, the front side had the name of the owner in 2 words. Friends only.
Любопытной Варваре кое-что оторвали.
Look.
Прости, это анкета?
Заполнял когда-нибудь?
I lied that I had. In reality, girl classmates from my previous school had never asked me to fill their questionnaires. It was quite upsetting. I mean, it was a girl hobby. You just answer a set of standard questions about your favorite actors and colors, but entrusting someone with such a notebook was the sign of friendship. And maybe something even more, something I only had a vague idea about.
Хочешь, заполни мою?
My heartbeat quickened.
Хочу, спасибо.
Paulina giggled.
А хотя, там же столько секретов. Наверное, лучше тебе не знать, о чем мы, девочки, думаем.
She reached for the notebook, playing with me. I tossed my finding into my free hand. Paulina tried to intercept my move. Her hair briefly touched my face, tickling my nose with its silky locks. I sensed an aroma that immediately filled the whole world. Fragrant, alluring, lively. If only I could picture it, steal it for myself. I felt dizzy, but I gathered myself and spoke in a voice reminiscent of Lieutenant Tikhonov.
Ваша анкета является важнейшей уликой, и я вынужден временно изъять ее для изучения.
Paulina covered her mouth that rounded in a fake horror.
И что мне грозит за сокрытие улик?
Следствие покажет.
Сдаюсь, товарищ милиционер. Только обещайте ничего не читать. Здесь содержатся секретные сведения.
Боюсь, что мне все-таки придется выяснить, не влюблен ли кто в гражданина Петрова.
Paulina burst out laughing and pressed herself against my chest, showering me with the aroma of her hair and her milky skin that looked almost transparent, with tiny threads of veins running under it. Her whisper was hot like a piece of butter sizzling on a pan.
Тогда поклянитесь, что не станете разглашать информацию.
Say word, Anton?
Честная милицейская.
А теперь, Антоша, самое время поторопиться.
I took out the notebook during the class. with utmost care as if it was some sort of fragile treasure. Skimmed through it, reading into other people's preferences. I was quite surprised to discover Romka's jerky handwriting inside. His letters bulged out of the cells, as if embarrassed by their shapelessness. Fearsome Romka found time for something so silly. I chuckled into my fist after I found out that Romka's favorite cartoon is not even Darkwing Duck, but DuckTales. Somewhere in the distance, a teacher was reciting pieces of Andreev's Snapper. I paid them no mind. Paulina's page was decorated with flower drawings and clippings from the Cool Girl magazine. Her favorite musician is Schubert. Her best friend is her grandpa. Her hobby is not violin like I expected, but a much more mysterious listening. Can such a mundane process really be someone's hobby? I looked at Paulina over the heads of other students. She was focused on taking notes. I flipped up the pages until I found a blank one and armed myself with a pen. Anton Petrov, Class 6, Bravo. I took a long time to decide on my favorite musician until a Trinity pop band, Carman, came to mind, with the cool dancers in their music videos. Favorite holiday? This one's easy. New Year's. My hobby is drawing. My dream? Going to Disneyland, I guess. My hero. My hand moved on its own, writing da. I stopped on those two letters. What if those who read this after me will find my answer laughable and stupid? After thinking for a bit, I decided that not everything should be disclosed on paper. That's how I turned That's how Da turned into Spider Man. The spelling was wrong, but who cares? Your biggest fear, huh? I immediately wrote, losing a person who's dear to me. Your phone number. No secret here. 30395. Your favorite cartoon. Transformers. Your best friend. I hesitated, gnawing on the pen's cap. I remembered Alyssa, gliding behind the trees, laughing enthusiastically from the shadows. I hadn't seen her in a week, and it even made me worried. After all, she was the one who stopped the colossus of a monster that wanders the forest in the night from tearing me to bits. I mentioned the masked girl to Romka and Biasha before, but they just gave me weird looks. I wonder what she's up to right now. Your best friend. I read the question out loud. It was easy, but at the same time, very important. My answer consisted of 3 letters, and I filled them in the cells with care. You. You. I repeated when running out of the school. Refreshing frosty air made my cheeks turn beet red. It was bright outside, and the sun looked like a whole egg yolk. The road looked as if it was silvered. The snow sparkled under the sunlight. I smiled, squinting from the blinding whiteness. There was also something magical in my chest that beckoned me, because friendship can grow into something bigger. I swallowed my smile and turned red.
Да так, анекдот вспомнил.
Biasha was shuffling his feet in the middle of the yard, his boots restless on the ice.
Ну, делись тогда на.
I rummaged through my memory and blurted out a random joke I heard today in the cafeteria.
Кощей вышел на крыльцо почесать себе сундук, зайца, утку и яйцо.
Ясно.
I see. Oh man, no. A Soviet Russia stand-up comic, colloquially known as the King of Hoots remakes and dad jokes. Damn. I see.
Ну, идем на.
I walked toward the school's corner without waiting for me. Oh, he walked toward the school's corner without waiting for me. I hesitantly tagged along.
А куда?
Идем на. Мы теперь в одной связке и действуем заодно.
The North fake? That's his jacket? I didn't notice that before. I felt chills run all over my body. I didn't like the sound of that. Small business. Those words, accompanied by spitting, normally hid every dark deeds underneath them. Strangers that used to call our old apartment used to say, "Get your old man, we have a small business to discuss." Biasha turned around. He looked like an astronaut in his tight hood. If I were to imagine him as a sound, he'd be a deafening whistle, a signal given by someone who stands watch. My knees started shaking as soon as I thought that I was about to be dragged into something shady. Images flashed before my eyes. Tikhonov's strict gaze as he shuts the prison cell door on me. My father hitting the bars in anger. Mom and Oya crying nearby. To my demise, there was nobody at the backyard. Apart from the grim-faced Ramka. Ah, fuck! He's pissed. He stood there, his feet wide apart, with his right hand hidden behind his back. He must be holding a knife, the steel butterfly of death that flies towards a person's heartbeat. Ramka's dry lips were tightly pursed. He kept shooting glances at me as he looked around. What's going on? It was as if Ramka read and announced my thoughts.
Что происходит?
Ничего, проветриваемся на.
Biasha's voice sounded nasty, snarky.
Проветривайся в другом месте.
А мне и здесь нормально, да, куколка?
Baby, is he talking to me? I was so bewildered I wasn't able to squeeze out a single sound in reply. I just watched a bizarre scene, played out in front of me by my new problematic friends.
Видишь? Ты ее напугал!
А тебе какая забота, говнюк? Вали пока целно.
I was trying to digest what I just heard. Did Biasha really call Ramka a shithead? Is he out of his mind?
Пацаны,
Biasha ignored my weak protest and stepped toward Roma, swung at him in a weird comical manner.
Ха!
Ramka blocked the punch with his free hand, keeping his right hand behind his back. Even actors in Indian films that my mom loves fight more convincingly. Biasha started weeping even though I hadn't seen Ramka hitting him.
Ай-яй-яй-яй-яй-яй-яй, больно как! У меня сотрясение мозга!
Ramka kicked him in the knee, and Biasha fell to the ground, sighing and moaning. And I stared at the approaching Ramka without blinking. His elbow twitching and his hand crawled from behind his back. I grew roots into the asphalt. A blade will shine in front of me. Here it comes! Ramka yanked his hand from behind his back. My teeth chattered from fear. A bouquet of snowdrops that appeared out of nowhere in this freezing weather swayed in front of my face. What's this? Flowers?
Позволь проводить тебя. А то, сама знаешь, шастают тут всякие маньяки.
Ну а тёна, бедным маньякам уже и посасать нельзя.
Эх, хреновый из тебя маньяк, Бяшка. Даже Тоха не повелся.
He was just confused, you morons.
А она нас в 2 счета раскусит.
Words finally returned to me.
она?
She?
Кто она? Что тут творится?
Да, маленькая репетиция, братан. Хотели на твою реакцию посмотреть.
Biasha stood up and brushed himself off.
Да Ромыч в тёлку одну втюрился. Вон откуда-то цветы нарыл на.
Пасть заткни! Я так, планируем подкатить слегка. Разыграть представление, а то она неприступная, мать её за ногу. Типа гуляет девочка себе, а к ней докапывается такое вот говно.
Biasha grumbled, upset.
Сам ты говно!
Ну и я такой ее раз и спасаю. Но чё-то Бяша совсем бездарный актер. Давай-ка ты маньяком будешь.
Я?
Ну а чё? Как по телеку показывали, маньяки вообще всегда тихие, скромные люди.
Oh, fuck no.
Вот прям как ты.
I'm gonna refuse that one.
А благодаря Катькиным сплетням все в школе думают, что именно ты бабурину кокнул. Давай, соглашайся, Тох.
А что делать-то надо?
Ты же видел Бяшино кривление? Тип, идешь ко мне, борзый такой, можешь разок в печень заехать. А я тебя тип херак и в сугроб.
Ну, давайте попробуем.
Roma livened up.
Отлично.
Nice.
Бяша, меняешь пол. Ты теперь тёлочка. Гуляй.
Oh my god. Biasha started dragging his feet along the schoolyard, grimacing.
Я тёлочка красивая, тёлочка, я говорю.
Тоха, действуй.
Your move, Toha. I went toward Ramka, fighting an urge to smile. He hit his hand again and put on a stern expression. A 5-star actor.
Она моя!
Рискни.
I tried. I threw a punch in the direction of my friend. My knuckles barely grazed his leather coat and Ramka suddenly fell. Not from my laughable poke, of course, but because he slipped on ice. He plopped on his back with his full weight, without a chance to get his hand out of the way. Petals from the squashed flowers were left on the snow. I rushed to help.
Ой, бля.
Fuck.
Да погоди ты, не дергай.
Не сломал?
Rama was carefully working his wrist.
Да не, ушиб вроде.
Лед приложить нужно.
Тебя, мудака, приложить нужно. Об стенку башкой. Да, если я так при подруге навернусь, можно будет про нее забыть.
Давай еще раз отрепетируем.
Ramka shook his head.
Вечером, как рука пройдет. Не хочу опозориться перед первой скрипкой школы.
Oh no.
Договор...
Indicated. I stumbled mid-word. A switch flipped in my head. It all made sense now. I remembered Romcon constantly sneaking glances at Paulina. I remembered his scrawly handwriting in the questionnaire. Why didn't I study it more in depth? If I felt like somebody hit me over the head with a giant hammer, making me sink into the ground. Paulina. She was the main character of this play directed by Ramka. And I landed the role of the third wheel. I mumbled hesitantly.
Договорились.
Вот это я понимаю, команда Вольтрона. Один за всех.
И все на одного!
Захлопни. Если вдруг тебе понадобится помощь, Антоха, можешь рассчитывать на меня. А теперь бывай. Вечером мы к тебе заглянем.
Damn. The aftertaste of horrible water I drank down my meds with lingered in my mouth. My thoughts were focused on Paulina. But the play where I was assigned the role of a villain was also on my mind. I wandered around the house, feeling intoxicated, and nodded to everything my sister said without trying to discern her words. Oya was talking non-stop, at times lifting up her arms and laughing only to then suddenly go quiet and give me Mom's signature gnarly look. I was yanked out of the prison of my own mind, where seething thoughts pecked at my brain like harpies, stopping me from coming back to reality. I stared back. Oya looked like a mini version of our mom right now. Well, to be precise, She looked like the person Mom turned into when we moved here, with her intimidating posture and her eyebrows directed toward the ceiling.
Ты меня не слушал, так?
She tried spitting out those words at me, copying facial expressions of the person she spent almost all of her free time with. For a moment, I felt like the light Oya exuded all these years waned and wavered in the wind of prolonged changes. Very soon, my beautiful princess would turn into the dragon that was once guarding her prison tower. That thought was much scarier to me than any other horror sneaking up to me from the future.
Оля, прости. Ты же не сердишься, правда? Я просто задумался.
I looked down the room, my gaze jumping from one object to another like a hungry beast, trying to find anything that could distract Oya.
А давай в приставку поиграем.
Oya pouted, but there was a spark of interest in her small emerald eyes. The Snow Queen's ice shard inside them started thawing.
А как же второй джойстик? Не работает же.
The second controller is always not working.
А папе починить некогда.
Можем из пистолета пострелять. В ковбоев или уток. Хочешь?
Ты лучше меня играешь.
Да ладно тебе. Пади целый день тренировалась, пока меня дома не было.
Oya burst out laughing. Her heart was warm once again.
А как ты догадался? Я сейчас знаешь, какая меткая. Считай, уже проиграл.
Не на того напала. Включай скорее.
Little Oya jumped toward the TV set and after flicking the power switch, started blindly feeling around the backside of the photon, trying to plug the console's cable into the antenna input. Oh shit. Bits of TV shows started flashing on the CRT screen when I armed myself with the remote to look for the channel with a sought-after Dindy signal.
Что дома интересного происходило?
It was a mundane question for me. I didn't put any actual meaning behind it. But Oya's expression suddenly changed. She lost all the childish nonchalantness she worked so hard to acquire before.
Оль, что-то случилось?
My sister managed to put the cable in its place and started brushing off her dust-covered hand. She was clearly looking for the courage to continue the conversation.
Мама,
Oya went silent. And then for a moment I thought I saw tears welling up in her eyes.
у нее опять был этот страшный.
My sister looked at me with wet eyes. What?
Приступ.
This had happened before, but it was a rare occasion. Now that we moved to this God-forsaken place, Mom's fits rose in frequency.
Папа принес большую рыбу. Она в газету была завернута и пахла так. Бэ. А мама опять начала злиться. Потом взяла нож.
Oya squirmed, looking fearfully out of the window.
Они начали громко ругаться. И
I froze, imagining my little sister so small and unnoticeable, standing in the kitchen doorway. She wasn't even trying to hide. Our parents just paid her no mind at all.
потом мама ударила. Вот так.
Oya slightly moved her fist downward, imitating a strike.
Рыбу. Она была живая тут. Ей было больно. А мама...
It was easy to imagine what happened next. The writhing fish with a blade between its fins squirted some foul-smelling musk into Mom's face. Whenever death got this close to my mom, be it when a person was hit by a bus in front of us and their blood was smeared all over the windshield, or when Grandma chopped off a chicken's head, Mom would always get into a weird, dreadful fit. Her eyes would roll over. She would fall on her face like a freshly cut tree, and started writhing just like that agonizing fish, turning over chairs and blurting out bits of scary sentences.
Папа, он ей помог?
Oya shuddered as if just remembering it pained her.
Да, но вначале он засмеялся тоже.
What?
Когда увидел, что маме плохо. А потом вдруг заплакал.
Oya's story made me raise an eyebrow. It seemed like the forest oozing madness had not only completely consumed our mom, but also infected our strong and courageous dad. I quickly stepped toward Oya and locked her in a tight embrace. She dug her face into my chest, and I could feel my shirt becoming wet.
Зачем они так издеваются друг над другом тоже? Они сумасшедшие.
I stuttered, unable to justify the actions of our parents. I had run out of words, and all I could do was hug Oya even tighter. Jesus Christ. Oya screamed and hid behind me.
Переключи скорей!
No matter how many times she saw this intro, she would always react the same, just like when she saw that owl. I mean, I also got goosebumps every time this ghastly face appeared on screen so I immediately complied with my sister's request. What the hell? Ugh. Finally, the game selection screen showed up for the cartridge that was bundled with the console. Too bad most of the names here were just different levels of the same game. I picked up the gray controller and started looking around the pixel letters to find the familiar English word for duck. Background music from the menu soothed Oya's mind, and she asked in a calm voice,
А как твои дела в школе?
Да вот, завел пару друзей, наверное.
Ого, целых 2. Везет.
А ты говоришь, лисичку увидела?
Ага, ее зовут Алиса.
"Oh!" I immediately felt uneasy when my new acquaintance was mentioned.
Откуда ты знаешь? Она так сказала.
Да, когда с мамой мусор ходили выбрасывать. А еще говорила, что спасла тебя.
Спасла?
I remember my fight with the delinquents in the forest and that mysterious whisper from the thicket. I remembered the fleeing simian and the horned giant towering over me with its outstretched hand. All that time I could feel Alyssa's unseen presence, as if she was watching me from behind the crooked trees. A smile stuck to her ginger mask. I shuddered, chasing away this delusion.
А еще она что-нибудь говорила?
Не. Мама так быстро вернулась. Я ее хотела с лисичкой познакомить, а та уже убежала.
Ты ее не боишься?
А почему я должна бояться? Алиса добрая, такая пушистая и красивая. Не то что сова.
I plugged the light gun into the second controller port, listening to my sister's laughs.
Тюря первая!
It's Duck Hunt. Oh no.
я тебе поддалась.
Dad, girl. Damn.
О, это ты виноват, что я промазала.
Final round, huh? I don't play that.
Неситова! Ты ближе к экрану стоял! Я с тобой так больше не играю!
God damn.
Антон! Антон!
My mom only managed to get through to me on her third attempt.
Антон, тебя к телефону! Девушка какая-то!
I sobered up in an instant and rushed to the hallway.
Не споткнись, смотри.
I grabbed the phone, pressed it into my chest, looking at my mom. She shrugged and went into the room, gathering the toys thrown around by Oya as she went.
Алло?
У твоей мамы такой молодой голос.
А, ну да. Она сама молодая.
Не мешаю?
Нет, что ты.
If only she knew how costly this conversation could be for me, what risk I took on just answering this call. There were a pen and a shabby notepad lying on the nightstand. I picked them up and started moving the tip of the pen across paper, producing chaotic doodles that always ended up turning into hearts.
Я прочла твои ответы. А тебе действительно Кармен нравится?
Мне, если по правде, русский рок больше нравится. Но я почему-то постеснялся это написать.
А хочешь, Антоша, и я честной буду?
Конечно.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I got really into the story. Paulina spoke in a hushed voice, probably to keep her grandpa from hearing.
Мне здесь ужасно тоскливо.
Дома?
В поселке. Здесь никогда и ничего не происходит. И дело даже не в пропавших детях. Здесь музыки мало.
Но у тебя же кассеты есть.
Я не про записи. Я про... голос этого места. Он не мелодичный. Ведь шуршит, как патефонная игла, скрипит, воет изредка. Тут неуютно. Тесно очень. Не знаю, как объяснить тебе.
My pen's tip drafted a house, surrounded by tall trees.
Кажется, я тебя понимаю. Моя сестренка говорит, что чувствует себя заточенной в темницу.
Вот и я. Я очень люблю дедушку. И бросить порой...
Oh, I'm sorry. God damn it.
Далеко-далеко.
Into the forest, I thought half-heartedly, to run under the falling snowflakes that make your fur white and the branches that hide you from prying eyes.
Я, когда рисую, будто путешествую.
У меня также со скрипкой. Убегаю по смычку в небо.
I realized I was drawing a butterfly knife. I crossed it over. Thinking Romka ruined my mood. Should I tell her? Should I warn her about his plans to seduce her? Ooh, fuck! I could throw a wrench into those plans. Oh my god, but what about our Voltron team? They may not be my best friends, but we're still buddies. Well, who would I become if I betrayed them? Fuck! Oh, man. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna do another save. I'm going to do a completely other save. Alright? This is just so fucking bad right now. Fuck. Fuck. Oh! Another save there. Oh, man. Do I choose Paulina or do I choose Romka? I mean, damn, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Damn, they put so many choices in the game. Oof. Oh my god.
Полина?
Oh, I just probably closed my eyes and did it.
Да?
Я хочу тебе кое в чем признаться. Ромка попросил меня об одной услуге.
I couldn't force out a sound. Words slipped and fell down my throat. I started wrapping the telephone wire around my finger from nervousness.
Алло, Антош, я тебя плохо слышу.
I breathed out loudly.
Ромка сделал из меня маньяка.
Что?
Он попросил меня напасть на тебя. Как будто я какой-то монстр. А он бы тут же объявился и героически тебя спас. Алло, Полин?
She didn't respond, so I blew into the handset.
И ты согласился?
The tone of her voice became serious, harsh.
Нет, как ты могла подумать? Я ведь сказал тебе правду. А Ромка с Бяшей, после такого они мне больше не товарищи.
Ах, Антон, спасибо. Я так рада, что ты со мной.
My heartbeat quickened. Anxious thoughts about losing Paulina passed an imaginary torch to the thrill of meeting her very soon.
Понимаю, как тебе было нелегко рассказать такое.
I may get my ass beat.
Слушай, дедушка всегда говорил, что музыка лечит душу.
I'm sorry, Anton.
Хочешь, я тебе сыграю?
Где? В школе?
Нет же, после школы. Придешь завтра ко мне в гости?
I dropped my pen, struggling to believe in what I just heard. Then I rushed to get it from under the nightstand and ran my head into it.
Конечно. Почему бы и нет?
I'm sad right now.
Тогда завтра после уроков, хорошо?
It's all good. A bump was slowly bubbling up on my forehead, but I almost didn't feel it. The doorbell rang before I could reply. It's Romka! My wandering gaze stumbled upon the door. Romka and Biasha came to pick me up for the rehearsal, and I was supposed to help them lure away the girl I like. I'll have to pretend that I'm on the other side, for Paulina's sake.
Полин, подожди минутку.
I made a couple of steps and pressed myself into the door. The light bulb hanging on the outside illuminated the porch, and I could discern the two short silhouettes through the frozen peephole. Look what the cat dragged in.
Подождите, я сейчас!
I returned to the phone and picked up the handset.
Мне надо бежать.
Мне тоже. Спасибо, что выслушал.
My ear vibrated from the buzzing sounds. I lowered the handset on the phone and snuck a peek at the staircase. My mom, engrossed in her favorite TV show, didn't hear the ringer. I put on my shoes and hat without warning anyone and slipped into the dark winter evening. I blinked, getting used to the twilight. The wind plucked at my cheeks. It carried the cold, resinous smell of coniferous trees from the forest. Freezing air crackled somewhere in the field. 2 shadows loomed in front of the gate. I could only recognize them as my classmates because of their height. I walked toward the fence, listening to the howling wind and the squeaking snow. One of the figures moved and slowly glided toward the thicket like an ice skater. I slowed down and touched my glasses, trying in vain to adjust my vision to the surrounding darkness. Worry landed on my shoulders like a weightless snowflake. A snake woke up in my belly and started writhing. I felt nauseous. I thought about home, the flimsy fortress behind my back. Mom and Oya were sitting on the second floor of the warm house in front of the TV, watching the adventures of the characters in Santa Barbara. I really didn't want to be part of Romka's plan. And what I wanted even less was going there, to the place where a double shadow was wavering in the wind. Biasha's voice was trembling, and the restless Romka was letting out clouds of steam, looked deep in thought and in love.
До костей продроглено. Шевелись!
Да иду.
I heaved a deep sigh and walked forward, kicking snow piles. Biasha froze in place, facing the taiga. He was a hand's reach away, and I put my numb wrist on his shoulder for some reason, probably to make sure it wasn't a dream. Oh shit! A pointy beak was directed at me, strewn with the feathers that formed an owl face. Something wearing a bird mask was staring at me.
До самых косточек.
The voice sounded exactly like Biasha's, but there was somebody else hiding behind the feathers in the carton. I sprinted away as if somebody whipped me. The masked creature only pretended to be Biasha. They wanted to lure me out. I was running like crazy, drowning in the snow. The house in front of me was rapidly growing. The yellow light in its windows granted me hope. My mom and sister are there, my salvation. I couldn't hear anything from behind me, as if nobody was chasing me. Maybe it's because the owls can fly. I was already climbing the porch when I noticed another figure. Holy cow! From the soot-black shadow of my house, a scruffy wolf cub crawled out and stood in my way. Its movements were jerky, chaotic, as if it was performing some terrifying dance, or convulsing during a stroke. And even though I could clearly see that wolf's face was a mask, something in this werewolf's convulsions made me freeze in place. The boy in the wolf's costume rubbed his side against the porch post and fell to his knees. He bent his back so hard that I expected his spine to crack. The beast's eyes shone. But he didn't attack. He kept crawling around and running on all fours. I shifted my feet, my mouth agape, trying to keep him in my line of sight. Something was trickling from the slit in the mask. Viscous drops fell to the wooden planks. Saliva. Some unknown force pushed me in the back, whispering me to save myself. The fence was flashing by at the edge of my vision. I was running in another direction this time, toward the toothy edge of the forest that smelled of pine. My heartbeat measured time. The wolf boy growled behind my back as if he forgot his human nature. My right leg got stuck in the snow laid in that cavity. I yanked it out, cursing under my breath, and fell to the ground. Plastering snow prevented me from standing up, from popping myself against anything. But my unbound thirst for life helped me get out of that trap. Darkness was creeping closer, like the toxic fumes of burial pyres. I ran again, gasping for air that stung my throat. My hair swayed in the wind. I lost my hat when I fell down. My ears were now hot from the freezing cold, while most of my body was still sweaty. The field finally ended. After realizing that running through the forest wasn't the smartest decision I could make, no shit, I dove into the line of trees. I ran without stopping, my face covered with one of my palms. I didn't want to lose an eye to some random branch. Branches whipped my clothes, pricked my skin like butchers that were herding a pig into the grinder. A knot of roots, sprouting from the ground, grabbed at my foot. I rammed it into the scratchy trunk, slid down to its base, and looked around in panic.
Ух, какой ты быстрый.
Oh no, shit. My first desire was to dash toward her and hug her. I resisted it and squeezed myself even tighter into the pine.
Что ты здесь делаешь?
Да вот,
She was holding the hat I lost.
в бюро находок подрабатываю. Надевай, а то уши замерзнут, а потом, глядишь, и вовсе отвалятся.
She giggled. I squinted in suspicion and shifted my gaze back and forth between her and the hat, scared that Alyssa might be holding a severed hand or something even more sinister. But in the end, my hat turned out to be just my hat. I took it and pulled it over my forehead.
Тепло?
I didn't reply.
Там во дворе были какие-то дети.
И что, покусали тебя, что ли?
Нет.
А чего же ты убежал?
Why did he answer like that? The answer was obvious, but after rolling the thought on my tongue, I mumbled.
Не знаю.
Обещала не обзывать тебя дурачком. А я обещание исполняю.
She walked up to me and grabbed me by the elbow. I sensed the familiar aroma of mint, oranges, and burnt sparklers. I wanted to lean into Alice to savor the minute details of her smell.
Сколько можно повторять? Со мной ты в безопасности. Я твой друг. И они.
I quickly turned around toward the place the fox girl was pointing to. Kids in masks appeared at the clearing. At least they looked like kids since they were all pretty short. A wolf boy, an owl girl, and a bear boy. They all huffed and gasped for air, clearly tired from running around.
Я думала, ты в снег провалился. Стало снег копать, нет тебя.
А я не копал, лень копать было. А ну как получается? Если дурак, ты бегай да копай. А если умный, подожди, пока другие набегаются, накопаются и устанут.
I know who these people are. Oh God. Maybe. Something's like literally in my head right now. Oh my God. I know who these people are.
Заводи разговор.
Как я рад! Дегенерат!
А?
Не обращай внимания, он со странностями.
I stood there, stupefied, my mouth agape and my hands dangling helplessly. I had no idea to react to the words of these late-night guests, but I managed to squeeze out something resembling a smile.
Вы просто меня напугали.
It was freaky as shit. They started looking at each other, and somebody even snorted as if I said something funny.
Да, лиса права!
Это он.
Нет, это наш!
Неужели нашли?
Наш зайчик.
Да, похож.
раньше всех почуял зайчика в тебе и рассказал нам.
Are you serious?
Здравствуй.
С нашей совушкой ты знаком не понаслышке. Не такая уж она и страшная, правда?
Да, наверное.
А этот улыбчивый бугай — медвежутка. Ты лучше с ним поласковее, а то голову откусит.
Zачем это?
Да, смотрю, ты чувство юмора где-то обронил.
I was still unsure if these peculiar little animals had the best intentions in mind, so I hid my hands behind my back, trying to look away from the gaping holes of their carnival masks. Alyssa put her hands to her sides in a theatrical manner and somehow managed to wink with her fox face.
Когда в следующий раз придем, будем звенеть в колокольчики, чтобы ты не так боялся нашего визита.
А у нас разве есть колокольчики?
Чур, я звенеть не буду.
You hurt your hand. Eh?
У меня лапка болит.
My smile was no longer fake.
О, зубы показал. Это добрый знак. Не ожидала, что сможем тебя рассмешить.
I'm trying to take all this in.
Я думала, это под силу только Диснейленду.
Откуда ты знаешь?
Да так, прочитала кое-где.
She read your book. She read her book.
Про меня?
Про клюв от воробья. Про Диснейленд яхонтовый.
Ты умеешь читать по-человечески?
Зря я, что ли, в школу хожу день ото дня.
And then she sang in a coquettish voice.
Как детей не замечать, как мечты их развенчать. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе. Крепко-накрепко вломить, с детства слабеньких чморить. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе.
I let out a cautious laugh. I see someone's coat. I see someone's coat right here. It's sketchy. My new acquaintances didn't seem scary anymore. On the contrary, they looked friendly and welcoming. There was something about them that attracted me. Just like this clearing, this moon, and the snowflakes that fell backwards, from the ground to the sky, as if someone was rewinding a tape. The masked kids got close and I felt their touch. They gave me friendly taps, felt my clothes as if checking whether I was real. There was no animalistic malice in their touch, only pure childish curiosity. For some reason, I thought to myself, I can trust them. Snowflakes just kept on floating upwards.
Никто тебя больше не обидит.
Друг. Пусть только попробуют.
Ну что, Тоша, убежишь с воплями или с нами пойдешь?
Куда?
На аттракционы!
At that moment, Taiga's deceptive silence was broken by the sound of a distant flute. Mesmerizing and alluring, it brought about the ring of crystal glass and the whispers of fresh winter spring. If I had any doubts before, the flute's song shattered the last of them. I started following my new friends before I could even make my decision. Fuck! My legs carried me of their own will, and the tunnels made of pine stepped apart. Bushes bowed in front of our procession. Everything looked dreamlike. I'm being kidnapped! I'm being kidnapped, my dude! Oh my god. Because even the clearing we ended up on, I only saw in my dream. The flute soared up in the treetops like some fantastical bird. The snowflakes floated up in a spiral. The moon painted tree branches with silver. Alyssa gasped in amazement. I was also in awe. I tilted my head backwards as far as I could.
Красиво как.
Очень красиво.
Wolf howled in agreement.
Это мелочи. Я покажу гораздо больше, если захочешь.
I did want. I wanted to see what the fox girl saw with her eyes, hidden in the semi-dark of her cape. Now, I didn't feel weird about these masked kids. I felt weird for being the only one without a mask. I felt like I was naked in the January winds.
Скажите, а зачем вам маски?
I was trembling, but I wasn't scared. My trembling wasn't caused by the cold. It originated from the peculiar anxiousness, the anticipation of something amazing.
А тебе зачем?
I touched my cold cheek.
Но я без маски.
Обожаю человеческие сказки.
Человеческие ласки?
Человеческие дрязги.
Я же говорила, все жители поселка носят маски. Только скрываются за ними отнюдь не люди.
Okay.
И даже я?
Ты такой рассеянный, Антон.
Однажды мы уже нашли твои очки.
И шапку. И твое настоящее лицо.
I looked at the mask the fox was holding out to me. The money mask that looked like a silver ingot under the moonlight. I was curious to see with the world through its slits. I have no choice but to take it. Suddenly, finding its way through the flute's melody, a thought came to me. The glasses they found were in Simeon's possession. My new acquaintance must have known what happened to him. Or even worse.
А куда подевался Семен? Что с ним стало? И с остальными детьми?
The bear and the owl looked at each other. The wolf boy curled into a ball, and the fox lowered the pointing nose of her mask.
Тот, кого держали в клетке.
Тот, кто режет мелко-мелко. Тот, кто носит кожаное лицо, забрал их.
Умел бы я креститься, перекрестился бы.
Хотите сказать, это был человек?
There wasn't a bear before. Wait. Are these the spirits of the kids?
Чем ты только слушал? Разве можно назвать такого, как он, человеком?
Одно слово — взрослый.
В мире взрослых так легко потеряться.
Убийцы, жестокие дрессировщики и равнодушные родители. Лучше об этом вовсе не думать, чтобы не грустить. Не знаю, как вам, а мне печалиться совсем не хочется.
И я сегодня какой-то негрустный. Антон, а ты?
А?
I was lost in thought, staring at the pines, trying to pinpoint the location of the flute. I was sure that the person who played was standing right behind the piney stockade. Someone tall, going over the holes in the flute with their long fingers.
Так что, сядем тосковать или займемся отдыхом?
Алиса хотела что-то показать.
Давай начнем с самой сладкой части программы.
She's distracting. The fox girl took out a handful of candy from her pocket and handed them to each of the kids. Covers shuffled. The smell of pineapple, cocoa, and melon wafted through the air. The last treat, a chocolate-covered waffle candy Alyssa put right into my mouth. My tongue was engulfed in spiciness. I felt like my body was covered in fur and small sparks were running along it. I chewed on the waffle and chocolate, gulped them down, enjoying the vivid taste.
Спасибо.
My gratitude was barely audible because my lips were already touching the insides of the mask. I didn't even notice how I put it against my face. The papier-mâché was warm. The mask stuck to my skin, giving it a nice prickle. The kind when you dive into a hot bath after being outside in winter. When you lie there and purr from the soapy water.
Говорила же! Это твое! Мое.
Чего стоим? За нас веселиться никто не будет.
И то верно.
The melody kept swirling in the field like a hurricane. I couldn't wait to release the energy, the heat that this enchanting music was filling me with. The owl jumped and disappeared into the sky. And I heard her laughter from somewhere above, and then she landed back, huffing and sighing.
И ты так можешь. Попробуй.
I followed suit. My feet tore off from the ground. I flew toward the stars like a rocket and screamed from happiness after seeing my friends down below. The wind helped me fly. It felt like I was jumping on a huge trampoline. The stars looked like vivid sparkles that I could reach and lick up. The moon also got closer, and then I plunged. I got scared that I'd break my legs for a moment, but my soles landed softly on the ground, and I regained my balance.
С нами ты в безопасности. И все твои мечты станут явью. Я так счастлива наконец обрести тебя. Зайчик!
In a fit of merry laughter, I realized the most important thing. These four are not a threat. My real enemies, and I felt that with every single hair on my mask, were those who knew nothing about magic. Humans from the village. I also realized how alive my surroundings have become. I heard the dry grass under the snow moan. I saw faces of the trees and the stars. The trees were smirking, and the stars were grimacing in fear. That's right, be scared. I'll jump up to you, Wind. I snapped my teeth, then let out a jubilant laugh, jumping up along with the fox. I flew higher than the tallest pines and stayed in the air. I swirled. Alyssa followed my rhythm. I knew that she was smiling, so I smiled too. And the flute just kept on playing, carrying us higher and higher.
Ты чё, опять в облаках витаешь?
Hey, ooh, wow. Now with you around, I thought, trying to unglue my chin from the desk. My muscles felt slightly sore, but the feeling was pleasant. The whole class was wandering about for some reason, whispering and passing notes to each other. God damn it! Their faces looked like discolored masks to me, bleaking and boring. I yawned, remembering the time I was soaring high above the forest with Alyssa by my side, laughing and squeezing my hand. Perhaps, no, probably it was all just a dream. Because I didn't walk back from the forest. Just woke up in my bed on a normal morning with tea and medicine. Still, I was hardly worried about trying to find a rational explanation for my night dance. That feeling of flight was much more important. The knowledge of how it feels to be hanging in the air above the treetops of majestic pines and baring my teeth at the moon.
Ну чего?
Чё? Пока ты носом клевал, Катька пропала.
My sleepiness was gone in an instant. I frowned in suspicion.
Как пропал? Быть не может.
Dressed in a fur-hooded coat, green eyes, white scarf, gloves. Shit.
Кать!
Well, that's it for now, guys. I hope you guys truly enjoyed the game experience. I did. I'm in complete shock. Fuck. But I hope you all enjoy the gameplay. Hit like, subscribe if you want to see more. And I will probably do a walkthrough where I make different choices and stuff like that just to see how it plays out. But I will see you all in the next video. Have a wonderful and happy New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Start getting your minds right, get your hearts right, get your souls right. I know you guys have so much work to do. And God bless you all for hitting like and subscribing and giving me words of encouragement. This was amazing. Huge shout out to the team of Tiny Bunny for working on this game. Grateful. I'm grateful for you guys because you guys actually give me something to work on for my YouTube channel. Yeah, man. God bless. Stay motivated. See you all next time. Ciao.